All right, so now we're going to work on section 9.2, absolute values, and I like to start with the definition of what does it mean for an absolute value, and it's one of the definitions that a lot of people don't necessarily know or they're not familiar with, and the absolute value is actually talking about the distance on a number line. So that's why it's always got to be, most people, maybe, well, I shouldn't even say most people, but a lot of people remember that it's got to be a positive real number, right? But the reason that it's got to be a positive real number is because when you're talking about a number's distance from zero, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's say. And if I say, what is the absolute value of 5? The definition says that how far is the number 5 from 0? Well, it's 5 units, right? It's 5 marks. So it has to be a positive because it's a distance. And you cannot have a negative distance, okay? Likewise, if I said, what is the absolute value of -5? So while negative numbers are over here, right? It is still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units from 0. And this is why an absolute value always gives you a positive number, right? It cannot equal a negative number because you can't have a negative distance, right? It's not possible. And it's why you will get the same answer for two different numbers because they're both the same distance. They're in different directions, but it's the same distance. This one is 5 units from 0, and this one is also 5 units from 0. So please make sure that you kind of understand this definition. It will help you in the long run. So now when we're looking at an absolute value, first thing we need to do is say, is it equal to a positive real number? Yes. 3 is a positive number. Pretty much every number we've worked with up till now is a real number, so we're good on that sense. So what we're going to say is that x plus 2 can equal 3, but x plus 2 can also equal -3, because if it's the absolute value of x plus 2, there's two numbers that will give me the answer of 3. Both 3, right here, is 3 units, right? And also -3. -3 is 3 units. So please make sure that you're comfortable, again, with this definition of what does it mean for it to be an absolute value. It can be either of these two answers. Things to remember. It has to be a positive number that it's equal to, and then it has to be an absolute value equals a number. There can't be any addition or subtraction or anything on either side. That will not necessarily be equal to the positive or negative. Once you know that, you can do x plus 2 equals 3 or x plus 2 equals -3. Solve for x. This should hopefully be an easy part of this module. Well, if you don't write. So x equals 1 or -5. Now, x can be a negative number, and that's okay because I'm not saying that it's an absolute value equals to a negative number. I can plug a negative number in, and that's fine. I just can't get it equal to a negative number, okay? So for this one now, we have a positive number, right? We want to check and make sure, is it equal to a positive number? Yes. But then I only want an absolute value equals a number. So this plus 2 has got to be dealt with before you can start using solving for your absolute value. So I need to say -2 from both sides, which would leave me then just with my absolute value of 3x minus 4 equals to 9. If I don't move this first, I will get the wrong answer because my absolute value is equal to a plus or a minus, right? Because my -5 was equal to +5, my absolute value of -5, and my absolute value of +5 was equal to 5. not my absolute value plus some number or minus some number. That has got to be moved first. Think about order of operations. My absolute value's got to be just equal to something. Isolate the absolute value. Now, once I've done that, I can do 3x minus 4 equals 9, or 3x minus 4 equals negative 9. Add 4 to both sides. Do them individually. Please write these out. There's no reason to make a mistake on these. If you take your time and you go slowly and you write your steps, you should not make a mistake. I'm not saying it won't happen, because it does happen, but it should not happen. Plus 4 over here, plus 4 over here. 3x equals negative 5. Divide by 3. X equals negative 5 over 3, right? And if you wanted to write this as in set notation, we would write the set that contains 13 over 3 and negative 5 over 3. Again, it's okay to have a negative x. I just cannot be equal to a negative number, okay? Looking at the next one, first thing that we need to do is look at what is it equal to, right? And we've already said, I said it probably 7 times in this 6-minute video, that it cannot be equal to a negative number. Immediately when you see this, this should throw a red flag for you, and you should say, wait a second, I cannot have a negative distance. Cannot have a negative distance. So, that being said, this answer has automatically got to be no solution, because it's an absolute value equals a negative number. Now, again, if it was an absolute value plus or minus something and it equaled a negative number, you need to move that first and make sure that it's still an absolute value equals a negative number before you choose no solution. No solution is only when there is a negative number, absolute value equals a negative number. So I'm going to do a couple more examples that are not on your problem, on your sheet, just to help you guys get just a hair more comfortable with it. So if I had absolute value of 3x plus 5 plus 1 equals 0, right? Again, or equals 10, sorry, not 0, 10. That I would subtract 1 first. It's equal to a positive, so we're good there, but I've got to get my absolute value equals a number. So subtract 1 from both sides. 3x plus 5 equals 9. Minus 5 minus 5, 3x equals 4. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. What mistake did I make? Did not do the negative also, right? We should also have or 3x plus 5 equals negative 9. So you can see how easy it is to slip into that. I'm going to leave that mistake on the video for you guys, just to remind you to please go slow. 3x equals a negative 14. Divide by 3, so x equals a negative 14 over 3. So our two answers are 4/3 or a negative 14 over 3. Okay, and one more. Let's see, it's 5. Negative 1 plus the absolute value of x minus 10 equals 8. Okay. So this one, again, it's equal to a positive, so it's okay, but we need to move everything that's outside of the absolute value before we start working. So I need to do plus 1 and plus 1, which would give me the absolute value of x minus 10 equals 9. So x minus 10 equals 9, or x minus 10 equals negative 9. So plus 10, x equals 19, plus 10, x equals 1. So 1 and 19 is the set of numbers that is my solutions to this problem.